Hi, my name is David Johnson, and I play the role of Chris in Sunset. To be honest with you, I didn't want it to be too effective, so when it comes to playing a character that has special needs, that's kind of like the framework that I would set up before I got to know who the guy was, in terms of mannerisms, in terms of like the thought process and how a line would actually be delivered, or how I would, how I would portray that and give an honest performance, as opposed to being a caricature of somebody who is special needs. So I would say mostly by observing people, just like in any other role, watching people that had special needs. I've worked in healthcare, in a hospital setting, mental health in particular, and so I do have like an eye account of what people like that behave like. And then I kind of just forgot about it, and I put it aside, and I thought about my surroundings and my environment, how that was affecting this person. Not so much Chris as a special needs guy, but as Chris as a part of society. And we have people that are, of different ethnic backgrounds, different gender, and people who were special needs, and everybody's affected in a different way. So I kind of just channeled his perspective in that without playing it as a cartoon character. No, actually I haven't. This was the first time that's ever happened for me. I've played characters that have been very similar to me, which is always the best. It's always nice to have somebody deliver a script to you, and, as you're reading through it, you think, why did I bother even, doing this? This is me, and you're getting to the honesty of it. So it's interesting when somebody writes something with you in mind. What's really interesting for me is how well they actually know you, because a lot of times people will write for somebody and the actor will sit back and they'll take a look at the role and they'll think, well, if this is how this person sees me, I don't have this in me. But Chris, I did have him in me. And so yeah, it's great. It's an honor. I'm from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania originally. Grew up in Irish Catholic family, single mom. Moved to New York City, years ago, and I studied theater at New York University. And I've lived in New York for so long now. I feel like I've been down so many different avenues in show business. Commercials, television, film, Broadway. I took a very long period of time off, almost 20 years of my life. After I had moved to New York, I had, graduated from New York University, and I had, accomplished what at that point in time was my goal, which was to be, in a Broadway show and in a national tour. I got to see the country, and when I turned 25, I realized that I wasn't really happy anymore, and I wanted to explore other areas of my life. I wanted to see what it was like to be a regular 25-year-old and, go out every night like my friends did, and have, not worry about losing my voice, and drink and party and have relationships and have a dog and an apartment. And at this point, this was, without dating myself too much, this was like the early 90s. So there was no email, there was no internet, there was no Skype, there was nothing. So if you were an actor and you chose to pursue that life for yourself, it was kind of like a take it or leave it. You couldn't have everything. So, I chose to put that on the side table, and during that period of my life, that 15, 20-year period, I did a lot. I had relationships. I had an apartment. I opened up a nightclub in Midtown Manhattan, which is kind of crazy, but I did. It was a big dance club called Heaven, 6th Avenue and 16th Street, and it was during the raging 90s, during the Giuliani administration, so I could tell you a lot of stories about that. I sold my bar. I had a change of careers again, went into healthcare, went back to college, worked in ICU, CCU, and telemetry and critical care, Jacobi Medical Center and North Central Bronx Hospitals in the North Bronx. And, it never leaves you. I went back to theater. I had, gone on an open call for the producers, and It led to me meeting Susan Stroman and Nigel West, and I had, after about 8 months of callbacks, I booked the lead, and I went on the road, and everything started all over again, and except this time it was totally different, you know. So it's a lot. I like film and television much more. I feel like it's so much more honest. It requires you to be honest. You know, when theater's wonderful. I can't knock theater. All my roots are in theater. But when it comes to storytelling, you can't beat the medium of film and television. You can have this argument. I've had this argument. You just can't. You can't beat it. It's the best form of storytelling there is, because the scope of the camera is able to pick up every little intricate detail, and you're able to tell a story that is real. So come and see Sunset.